Hello friends, this presentation introduces the fundamental principle and methodologies of sampling techniques. I am Professor Ronika Yousuf and this lecture will cover the definition, objectives, characteristics and classification of sampling in research. Sampling is defined as the method of selecting a smaller group, termed the sample, from a larger body of a unit, referred to as the population. The purpose of this process is to study the characteristics of a sample in order to accurately infer characteristics of the entire population. We require sampling because studying the whole population is frequently expensive, time-consuming, and impractical. A properly executed sampling procedure enables researchers to make accurate generalizations about the population. For example, determining the average height of a student in a city requires measuring only a representative sample, not every student. We must establish 4 core terms for a complete understanding of sampling. First, population, the entire set of individuals relevant to the research. An example is all households in India. Sample, a subset of the population, such as 2,000 randomly selected households. Sampling frame, a comprehensive list of all units within the population. For example, it includes a voter list or a school register. Then element or unit, the basic component being studied, such as a person, a household, or a school. The central objectives of employing sampling methods are multifaceted. The primary goal is to reduce cost, time, and effort associated with research. Sampling is necessary to study populations that are either very large or infinite. It permits researchers to obtain accurate, reliable data. It facilitates the development of generalizable conclusions. Using a manageable sample size helps increase the quality of the study. For a sample to effectively represent the population in a study, it must possess several key characteristics. It must be representative, meaning it accurately reflects the whole population. It must be adequate in size. The selection process must be unbiased and utilize a scientific procedure. The resulting data must be accurate and reliable. The process must be economical. Sampling methods are categorized into 2 broad types. Probability sampling. In this category, every member of the population has a known, non-zero chance of selection. This method is typically preferred for scientific rigor. Non-probability sampling. Here, the chance of selecting is not known. Selection relies on the researcher's judgment or convenience. The first probability technique is simple random sampling, SRS. Under this method, every individual unit in the sample frame has an equal chance of being selected. The advantages are it is considered the least biased and is easy to understand. It is also highly representative if the population is homogeneous. Methods. Selection can be executed via the lottery method or random number generator or computerized selection. But there are disadvantages also. It necessitates a complete list of the population and can be costly for very large population. Systematic sampling involves selecting every kth unit from the sampling frame. The sampling intervals k is calculated using the formula k is equivalent to capital N by small n, where capital N is the population size and small n is the sample size. For instance, if n is 10,000 and small n is 100, then k is equals 100, meaning every 100th person is selected. Advantage here is this method is simple and fast and does not require the use of random numbers. Disadvantage is that a significant risk is potential bias if a hidden cyclic pattern exists within the population list. Stratified sampling. Stratified sampling requires the population to be divided into non-overlapping subgroups or strata based on characteristics like age, gender, or income. The formula for determining the sample size, NH, for each stratum is used to ensure representation. Here, capital NH is the stratum population, capital N is the total population, and small n is the total sample size. Advantage here is this technique is very accurate, ensures representations and reduce sampling error. But there is also disadvantages like it necessitates complete information about population groups. The 2 main types are proportionate stratified and disproportionate stratified. Now, cluster and multi-stage sampling. Cluster sampling involves dividing the population into natural groups or clusters such as cities or colleges. Entire clusters are then selected randomly. Advantage here is it is highly useful for large geographically spread populations and is cost effective. Disadvantages are the sampling error is generally higher than in stratified sampling. Multi-stage sampling is characterized by the selection process being carried out in multiple sequential stages. An example involves stage 1 selecting state, stage 2 selecting district, stage 3 selecting villages, and stage 4 selecting households. Advantages are this method is highly flexible and is ideal for national surveys. Now let's move to non-probability sampling method. We now examine the non-probability sampling method. The first is convenience sampling. Participants are selected based on their easy availability. Example include people in a mall or students in your college. Its advantage is that it is fast and cheap, but its disadvantage is that it is highly biased. Purposive or judgmental sampling. Participants are selected internationally based on the research purpose. It is useful in qualitative research and case studies. Quota sampling. This population is segmented and the researchers select individuals until a quota is filled. For example, 50 males or 50 females, with the selection not being random. Now, snowball sampling. This technique is employed for hidden or rare population. For example, drug addicts or rare professions. Existing participants recruit other for the study. This slide presents various sampling formulas essential for research design. The basic sample size calculation defines N as the sample size and capital N as the population and E as the margin of the error. The formula for sample size for population incorporate the Z-score for confidence level and the population proportions. The mean sample size formula includes the standard deviation. Formulas for systematic sampling and stratified sampling are also provided for reference. Now, sampling errors. We distinguish between two main categories of errors in sampling. Sampling error. This is the difference observed between the sample estimate and the population's true values. Reasons include utilizing an incorrect method or employing a small sample size. The formula for standard error is provided for calculation. Number second is non-sampling errors. These errors are not inherent to the sampling process itself but occurs due to various operational issues. These include data collection mistakes, interviewer bias, non-response, using the wrong questionnaire, and data entry mistakes. Now, the advantages and the limitations of sampling. Sampling offers several key advantages. It reduces cost and time, is practical and manageable, and allows for the study of large populations. When performed correctly, it yields high accuracy and supports the formation of generalizable conclusions. However, there are limitations. Sampling error may occur and there is a risk of biased selection in non-probability sampling. It is not suitable for very small populations and requires high expertise in method selection. Let's move to applications of sampling. The applications of sampling are widespread across various domains. It is fundamentally used in medical research, social science studies, and education surveys. Critically, applications include marketing and consumer research, national census, election opinion polls, and agriculture and environmental studies. Now, to conclude, sampling involves selecting a subset from a population. This process is divided into two broad types: probability and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling is the scientific and more accurate method, while non-probability sampling is typically reserved for explorative or qualitative studies. The overall benefit is that sampling reduces cost, time, and effort while maintaining accuracy in research finding. This concludes the presentation on sampling technique. Thank you for your attention.